excited today to be talking on the BACD podcast with our very own Executive Director, Teresa Shaver. Teresa became the Executive Director of the Business Advisory Centre Incorporated, BACD, so Business Advisory Centre Durham, BACD in 2012. BACD is a nonprofit organization supporting businesses in the Durham region to achieve business success by offering advisory services, workshops, and resources to entrepreneurs and business owners. Please visit our website at bacd.ca to learn more. Teresa is responsible for implementing the strategic plan, managing the day-to-day running of the business, so the operations, over 120 events. Just to do it in Durham alone, we have about 50 events on some years in 1 week. A team of 5, and so much more. Teresa has always had a strong entrepreneurial spirit and has worked in over 5 startup organizations across 3 countries. She has run a number of her own businesses and has been a business coach for over 10 years. In 2014, Teresa received her registered business coach designation from the World Association of Business Coaches, and in 2017, her economic development certificate. An avid lifelong learner, Teresa loves to read, listen to podcasts, teach yoga, sew clothing, and volunteer in her community. Teresa, welcome. This is so much pleasure for me because I get to talk to you and learn a little bit more about you and share a little bit more to our listeners. And I am so excited. Maybe we can start off with, if you could tell us just a little bit more about yourself, even about those startup businesses that you've started and sort of that entrepreneurial spirit that you have.
Oh, I'd love to. So I've always been entrepreneurial. So any hobby I ever had, I was like, how can I make money out of this? So I always wanted to monetize it somehow. So even when I was in my 9 or 10, if I'd bake a cake, someone liked it and they'd go, oh, I'd like one of those cakes. I'd go, great, I'll sell it to you, $10 or whatever the case may be. So I'd be selling cakes. I used to help my dad. He was in sales. I used to work for VW, so Volkswagen, I think it was called. And he would be promoting things and I'd be helping him sell them. And, he'd pay me. So it wasn't really a job, but I'd be selling from that time. All the different businesses I've even been in, a lot of them had to do with crafting or sewing or jewelry artist. I've also been a mobile esthetician in London, England. I did that for a while and I ran my own business. And then I did that because I knew I was coming to Canada. So I was raising money to come here. But literally I arrived with 2 suitcases, $1,000, a ticket that was paid, and I had nothing else. I had an 18-month work visa. So from there I worked in the startup. So I came over here to run the startup with the 2 partners. So I was their manager and we grew that into $14 million and also 14 staff. So yeah, funny, 14 and 14, but I was with them for 2.5 years. I got my permanent residence and I was out of there. I wanted to work for Canadian companies. So I left and worked for a couple of them. And while I was doing that, I learned how to be a yoga teacher and I started running a yoga business. I'd speak at conferences and do all kinds of different things around teaching. After that, I was interested in making jewelry. So all of a sudden I was making jewelry. So I did that for 3 years where I spent literally every weekend at a craft show, the women's show, the yoga show, the national women's show. So I did big shows and small craft fairs. And then after a little while, I kind of noticed for me that it wasn't going to be a full-time business. I was working full-time as well. I couldn't make the leap to make it a full-time business because I was part-time at it. I was in a couple of spas and studios as well with my jewelry on consignment, but I just didn't have it in me to be able to do it. And I also, and I use this as a lesson. I said to a lot of people, I didn't really understand my target market. I didn't really understand what my customers were looking for. So I spent a lot of weekends wasting time, but at least I could sit with my husband and my daughter. We sat together at these craft shows while I either made sales or didn't make sales. So it's been fun. And I was also a partner in an apps making business. So I partnered with a local business and I was the salesperson. I was out selling white label apps. So it was very cool and we did quite a lot of business with it. But again, the partnership didn't work out. We weren't really matched in terms of, the ideals that we had for the business. Yes, I was bringing in the sweat equity and they were bringing in the money equity, but they didn't feel that had as much weight as the money equity. So for me, I went through what it feels like to go through a broken partnership as well. But it's all been part of that learning experience to get me to where I am today. I think no experience is wasted when it comes to that.
For sure. And actually, it leads into the next question because you have now been with BACD since 2012. It's been a number of years, and I know I joined around 2014. And to see the changes, to witness the changes that you've had as a vision, I always say this, a visionary leader, because you've got these bigger pictures, and I love it, and to witness how that transformation, because BACD has changed, just the look of it, even the feel of it, everything else in those years. And like you just described, you bring a lot to the table. You bring a lot of those firsthand experiences, you know the struggle, you know the sacrifice. It's incredible. So you speak from that experience. What would you say, and you asked this of each of us in our interviews, I remember, that what do you love? Like, what gets you excited in the morning when you think, okay, I'm coming into work?
Well, I think I have one of the most wonderful teams to work with. I really mean that. I like everyone that I work with. I enjoy them. I care for their company. I care to make them happy in the environment they are in. I appreciate, and I'm forever grateful that they wear BACD on their sleeve and on their heart, right? So to me, that inspires me, is to be a good leader for them. But I'm also inspired to be a leader for our community in terms of the entrepreneurship programs and really just how do we build that ecosystem for Durham region. So I've been in the Durham region since 2003 when I married my husband out here and moved from Toronto. And it was still in its infancy. This all entrepreneurial, really, there wasn't a lot of it going on compared to what there is now. Funny enough, many people come in now and go, like, there's nothing going on. I'm like, you should have been here, 15 years ago. There really wasn't a lot going on, and things have changed. So there's a lot more networking organizations. There's a lot more entrepreneurial ecosystem players. So when we say ecosystem, we just mean like all the support systems, the university, the colleges. We didn't have, to that degree. So when I started, I don't even think that UIT was around, which is now called Ontario Tech University. We didn't have Centennial. We did have Trent and Durham College, but even they've grown exponentially. So I'm excited about the growth that there is here for Durham region. I see there's growth, there's opportunity, there's business opportunity as well. And I think I look at when I started at BACD, like we have grown our team. When I started, there was 2 of us, and I was like taking care of the finances, doing the newsletter, doing the marketing, the social media, the events, and now I'm so thankful that I have a team to share that with.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible how much it's it's blossomed. And as you touched upon what was happening then to what is happening now, and now on top of all of this, you've got COVID-19. Has this impacted on and made, how has this COVID-19 impacted on you and BACD?
Right.
Like your role here as BACD?
So the impact for us has been good from a financial point of view or from a service point of view, because we have been granted money to actually work with the local businesses in a number of different programs. So Digital Main Street is one of those. So, and then we have another one that's coming up called the Small Business COVID Recovery Network. So that will be coming out and be announced in the next few weeks. And we were lucky. We're one of the lead recipients of that grant, for our 47 offices that are around Ontario. But at the same time, it's been terribly heartbreaking to listen and to hear of the businesses that are struggling, that are having to close, that are having bankruptcy. Like, it's been a great year, and at the same time, it's been a terrible year. I've got to try and look at all the silver linings around this. So, and I think many people are having to reach really deep at this time. We're really having to look at what are our priorities, what does make us happy, because all of a sudden it's not about the stuff. It's not about being outside of the house. It's not about going to kinds of events and things. And it's really looking at those things, right? What is it that you really want to do in life? What is it that really makes you happy? And I think on that front, we're getting a lot more people coming to us who want to start businesses. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's as a huge trend, is because, people have been laid off or they're going to try again. I don't see any failures. I just see an opportunity to try again. One of the things, the statistics are, is that Canadians are afraid to fail, right? And so the failing is where the learning and the opportunity and the growth comes from. So I never look at it as a failure. It's like, okay, that didn't work. Cross that one off. Let's move to the next one, right? So we've been lucky, but it's also been difficult, even personally through this. My husband's business has been decimated. My daughter lost her job. Like, I don't think that anybody's family is really untouched this time.
For sure, for sure. It's interesting. So you shared about how it's impacted you personally as well as BACD in general. And you've also shared in it about some of the, because it's one of the questions I wanted to ask is, what would you share with others about facing uncertainty? And I think you touched upon it in that digging deep and actually reflecting on this, or focusing on the silver lining, sort of, again, that gratitude or that gratefulness of what we do have and what is available to us. Yes. I'm not going to ask that question again because I think you touched upon it, because there's another favorite one I would love to ask, maybe two more, because I know that we're running out of time. What piece of advice would you give someone today who's considering starting a business in the Durham region?
Come to BACD. But apart from that, the next piece really is validate your idea. And by that, I mean is really try and understand, what problem are you solving for your customer, and what is the need in the market? Like, who is going to buy your products or services, right? I made that same mistake. I really just focused on what I can do and what I can sell. I never focused on who my customer is and what would they buy and what would they like. So to me, those first years I was in that jewelry business was a lot of validating, a lot of paying money, going to events that didn't end up working out, paying for, a vendor table where I made no money. So that was an expensive way for me to figure out what my target market was. So if it all extends you as to what you can, you really want to try and figure out what that is, right? And if you don't know how, let us walk you through the steps. I think that piece of advice is big. And then the other one is, don't be too married to your idea. Change.
Yeah, for sure, right? There's a great thought about the coconut tree, why it withstands hurricanes so much. Like, I mean, yes, many of them do get damaged, but a lot survive because they bend. They're flexible enough that they bend. So true. Final words. So is there something that you want to leave the listeners with regards anything to do with Teresa or BACD or just in general as a business owner or entrepreneur in Durham region?
Right. I mean, I think there are a lot of supports for small business. You only have to start by Googling and looking for them in your local area, or by reaching out to people that you might know or businesses you might know, because entrepreneurship can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. There is a network. There are people who want to help and support you. So don't be afraid, step outside of your box and make a friend and maybe learn something new. So come and talk to us. We're funny, we're friendly, we're approachable. I hope we're relatable, but we're here to really help your business, or to equip you with the skills and the knowledge and the tools that you need to run a successful business.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you to our listeners. Please listen out for our next podcast. Take a listen to Teresa. Have a visit of our website at bacd.ca. Mark the dates. There's the event tab. There's the resources tab. There's so much information there. So if you haven't experienced it before, if you haven't been to BACD before, we invite you. Start with the BACD startup session. Check out the website. Teresa, thank you again for the time and for sharing. And I wish you a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you, Patrice. It's always wonderful to chat with you. I am the lucky one every day.